What's up, YouTube? It's Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy, on a channel where fragrance and fashion both matter. So, hey, I like to talk about looking good and smelling great. If you're going to smell great, why not look good? So, if you like that kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel, and also make sure you hit the bell icon as well, so that when I upload new content on the platform of YouTube, YouTube will send you that notification. Guys, on today's video, I'm going to be jumping into my 10 niche fragrances for life. Last week, I dropped my 2021 or 2022, whatever you want to call it, 10 designer fragrances for life. And this week, I want to do an updated niche list. These lists to me are very, very fun because it gives you a chance just to kind of go through the collection, man, and really see what you're really feeling at the time. Anybody that collects fragrances for or have been collecting for a while knows that, man, these things can kind of change from day to day. If you catch me tomorrow, one or two of these may change. But as of right now, as it stands today, these would be the 10 that I would keep for the rest of my life. So if you guys want to see what's on my list as of right now for my 10 niche fragrances for life, you know how we get down, man. Keep it locked right here. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's go ahead and jump into the list for today. Before I go through the actual 10, number one, I want to say I wore this sweatshirt or sweater, whatever you want to call it, once before in a video, and a few of you guys asked me about this sweatshirt, this Dolce & Gabbana sweatshirt. So I'm going to make sure I link it down below. I got this from Saks, Fifth Avenue, so I will link it down below if you want to check it out. Yeah, I'll make sure I link it down so you can do so. Now, really quickly, with this list, I have 4 honorable mentions, and I'm going to tell you and explain to you why these are honorable mentions, of course, before I jump into it. Both of these, if I'm keeping 10 designer fragrances for life, these two are definitely on my list. Why wouldn't they be? These are 2 fragrances that I put a lot of hard work into. For my collaboration with Novices Parfums, Serenade, as well as Obad. Definitely would keep these 2 fragrances for the rest of my life, although you guys know I always tell you I'm not that guy, so I'm not going to put these on the list, but come on, man, I'm definitely keeping these 2, not just because I put hard work into them and I'm attached to them, but they are very good fragrances. Ask anybody that has them. I do want to make a quick announcement on Obad, guys. A lot of folks that have reached out to me, it hasn't been in stock lately. That's because we are changing the name of Obad. Obad is going to become Lyric. We had some issues somewhere overseas with somebody wanting to challenge me on this name. So rather than go through all that, the legalities of that, we're just going to change the name to Lyric. So when you see this pop back up, when it becomes available, it will be called Lyric. I just wanted to go ahead and announce that. It is what it is. Like I said, it was just someplace overseas that they have the name for something and they're not using it. We did a very extensive search, the legal team, and maybe at the time when we released the fragrance, it wasn't, they may have been in the process of doing something with that name, but and instead of going through all the legalities of it, we just changed the name. So it will now be called Lyric. You know, it hurts my heart because I really love the name Obad, how it paired with Serenade and the whole meaning behind both of them, but you know, sometimes it is what it is when you're doing business. Sometimes things like this happen. So anyway, but those 2 fragrances I would definitely keep for the rest of my life. Now, 2 fragrances that will be honorable mentions as well, just because I'm not sure where to put them, which is Oud Wood from Tom Ford. Anybody that's been following me for any amount of time knows how much I absolutely adore this particular fragrance. Oud Wood is one of my absolute favorites. And of course, this is from the private collection, so a lot of people don't know where to put private collection or private blend fragrances, whether it be Christian Dior, YSL, Tom Ford. A lot of people go back and forth because they're technically designer fragrances, but because of the price point and because, to me, the quality of a lot of these fragrances, comparatively speaking to their designer line or their main line of fragrances, I tend to put them with the niche. So just know, whether it be on the designer or the niche list, this will be somewhere in my top 10, as well as this one from Christian Dior, Ombre Nuit. I just actually featured this fragrance in a video with the missus, and you saw how much she loves it. This is an amazing fragrance, man. It's rosy, has a little bit of a chocolatey kind of vibe to it. I think that's from patchouli, but this stuff is absolutely fantastic. So these two will be somewhere on the designer and niche side somewhere. All right, for the top 10. So the first fragrance that I would keep for the rest of my life, the first niche fragrance, and I went back and forth with the fragrance from this house. And I went with this one from Parfums de Marly, and this is Leighton. This is Leighton. And there's so many fragrances that I could have chosen from Parfums de Marly, and it was really hard for me to select one. I did know that I would keep one of these for the rest of my life, but I couldn't make up my mind, man. I was going back and forth between this, Carlisle, Pegasus Exclusive with my top 3. But it's just something about this one. I keep coming back to it. I love the opening of this with that apple and that mandarin orange. It dries down. You have some nice patchouli, a little bit of black pepper. It's kind of spicy with the patchouli, pepper, the cardamom. Then you have some guyet wood, I think, and also sandalwood gives it a little bit more of that creamy woodiness as it dries down. This stuff is just amazing. I couldn't have my 10 without this. And like I said, it was so close between this and Carlisle. If you catch me tomorrow, I might take this out and put Carlisle in, or either Pegasus Exclusive. But for right now, this is definitely one that I would keep for the rest of my life. It's just, undeniable how good this fragrance is. So the first one that I'm keeping for sure from the house of Parfums de Marly would have to be this one right here. And again, this is Leighton. All right, so the next one on my list that I would definitely keep is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and this is Baccarat Rouge 540. And this one is the Extrait de Parfum. I don't know, man, it's something about that bitter almond that they added to this, that little extra 10% that gives to this versus the original DNA. It just really works for me. Bitter almond, it has jasmine, it has ambergris as well. Just an amazing scent. When I talk about this, I have to mention this. I have to bring up the fact that, man, this is spawned so many clones, just like Acqu Di Gio and other fragrances that have been really, really great fragrances. When DNA comes out, and it does as well as this fragrance did as far as the popularity of this scent, other fragrance companies are going to want to get in on it. And so they come up with their own versions of these fragrances. But again, that doesn't deter me. I love this one. It was very original when it came out, although it's had a lot of clones since then. And I love what this fragrance really is all about. I love the bottle. I love everything about this one. So I'm definitely keeping this from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is Baccarat Rouge 540. The Extrait de Parfum. All right, the next fragrance that I would keep for the rest of my life, I do know, I think at some point I may have done this list once or twice before. I know Baccarat Rouge 540 Extrait was on it before, maybe even Leighton, but I know for a fact this is a newcomer to this list, and this one is from the house of Initial Parfums, and this is Blessed Baraka. Man, I absolutely adore this scent. It's something that's so sexy about this and alluring. It's kind of sweet, but it has this really kind of sexy, spicy chord to this fragrance that I love. And I'm pretty sure that's coming from the cinnamon. It also has musk and it has amber in this as well. So again, it's really, really masculine, spicy, sexy fragrance. I love this one, the way it works with the spices. And this is my favorite part of this, especially that cinnamon. It's an absolute standout. There's something creamy about this. There may be some sandalwood in this as well. Maybe even some vanilla, but man, this stuff is amazing. You gotta put your nose on this one. There's a lot of good fragrances from Initial Parfums, but this is the standout to me. This is my favorite. It works well for what I love. So I would definitely keep this one as well from Initial Parfums. This is Blessed Baraka. All right, guys, the next fragrance on the list, I know this one is a newcomer as well. This one comes from the house of Roja Parfums, and this is called the Agalev. The Agalev. Listen, I know this fragrance is very expensive. As a matter of fact, I have a list of that I want to do that's coming up, where I'll give you guys some alternatives to really expensive fragrances. But man, this stuff is just stellar. It's very expensive. It costs over $1,000, and I did buy this. I purchased this myself, just like I do most of my fragrances. But this stuff is just fantastic. I mean, for my style personality, I wear suits a lot for work. If I didn't work in an environment where I had to wear suits a lot, I would wear them anyway. That's just how I like to present myself personally. So This goes perfectly for my style personality. It's a classic, has a very classic fougere feel to this one. Like I said, I'm gonna do a full review and really get into this because it definitely deserves a full review, but it's a classic fougere scent. That's what this is, and it's just done to the highest level as far as the ingredients. You smell the quality when you put your nose to the atomizer on this. And again, this stuff is just fantastic. There's a standout note of peach in this, and that's a note that I really like in fragrances. It's not used a lot in men's fragrances, but it is perfect in this fragrance. Anybody that is a fan of Roger fragrances know each one of his fragrances have about 25 notes at a minimum, and this is no exception. But peach is a standout in this leather, musk, civet, amazing scent from Roger Dove. So get a sample of it if you can. If you like fougeres, more classic style fragrances, this is one you'll definitely enjoy from the house of Roger Parfums. Again, this is called the Agale. All right, so the next one that I will keep for the rest of my life comes from the house of Bond Number 9, and this one, Bleecker Street. Bleecker Street. This is another house where, personally, there was going to be something from this house on my list. It was going to be something from this house, and I've been really enjoying Lafayette Street over the past year. But when I really sat back and thought about it, if I chose Lafayette Street, it probably would have been more so because it's a newer acquisition versus what I really love to my heart the most. And it was close, but this is the one that I have to say, if I'm really honest, is my favorite. This one, again, Lafayette Street, and I really love New York Oud, but because I have another rose fragrance on this list, if I'm keeping 10 for the rest of my life, I had to use a little bit of logic with this and say, hey, I don't want multiple rose fragrances if I only had 10. And that's something that realistically you would have to give some consideration to. But man, I love this stuff. I love the fact that you got this fresh green element to this fragrance, primarily coming from violet leaf. And then you have these gourmand elements to it. You have some caramel in here, blueberry is in this as well, vanilla. There's some suede that gives it this really warm, velvety feel to it as it dries down. Just again, masterfully done fragrance. I love the bottle. I love the presentation. I love everything about it. And that's why it would be one of the 10 that I would keep for the rest of my life. So Bleecker Street from Bond Number 9 definitely makes the cut. All right, guys, so the next fragrance on this list that I will keep for the rest of my life on the niche side, anybody that's been following me for a while knows this is a no-brainer from Frederic Malle, Portrait of a Man. This is called Portrait of a Man by Frederic Malle. That's what I call it because I love it. It says lady, but men or women could wear this fragrance, and this is my favorite rose scent. I talked about this just a few minutes ago. It was really close on the rose stuff with this New York Oud and Oud Satin Mood. Oud Satin Mood, man, if you catch me tomorrow, it's really hard to take this out, but Oud Satin Mood is like, if this is a 10, Oud Satin Mood is a 9.99, and that's how close those two fragrances are for me for my favorite rose fragrances. New York Oud will be a 9.95. I love those three, but this is so good, man. Rose, there's a little bit of raspberry in this. There is a little bit of cloves, patchouli. It's amazing scent. Again, my most complimented fragrance. I've received the most compliments in one day with this fragrance. Men and women complimented me on wearing this scent. It's amazing. I would definitely keep it for the rest of my life. Masterpiece from one of my favorite perfumers, Dominique Ropion. Again, from Frederic Malle. It's a no-brainer for me. I'm keeping this for sure. This is called Portrait of a Man. All right, guys, so the next fragrance on my list, this one comes from another fragrance house that I really love, and it was really hard when I was looking at my fragrances to choose one from this house, but I didn't want to really just have a list that was inundated with one house. So I chose this one from the house of Amouage. It's a classic. This is Reflection Man. Reflection Man, Petit Green, Sandalwood, Jasmine. Oh, man. This is just an amazing scent. This is amazing. It's really nothing like it. A lot of people compare this to La Mer. I don't really get that much. Again, everybody's nose is different, and again, fragrance is something that's very subjective, but I don't really get the La Mer comparison. At least not this batch that I have. This is an older batch. It's not magnetic, the cap. This is one of the older styles. This stuff is just absolutely amazing. The freshness you get from it is floral, but I really love the mixture of the florals and the creaminess that you get from this. Just like I said, just a very unique scent DNA to me, the way this comes across. And when I'm going back and forth between the fragrances in my Amouage collection, I just always seem to come back to this one as my favorite. Jubilation 25, Diamant are two that I can think of off the top of my head that's been vying for the top spot in my collection of Amouage fragrances as of late, but I keep coming back to this one. So I'll definitely keep this one for the rest of my life as well from the house of Amouage. This is Reflection Man. All right, next up on the list, no conversation, no introduction needed. I'm keeping this from the house of Creed. This is JUVENTUS. This is a 17 N01 batch. I got about half of the bottle left, and I'm really trying to preserve and hold on to this. I haven't gotten my backup bottle yet, but I'm just gonna kind of put this on the shelf and just kind of keep it away. I don't really like the 3.3 ounce bottles. I'm a big fan of the 4 ounces. And if you're trying to get a 4 ounce bottle of this now, people are asking for crazy prices for it. So I'm just gonna try to hold on to mine. How about that? But I do have a flacon of this that I decant out and kind of wear that. But I do want to get a backup bottle just to go through that when I want to wear this instead of this. But you guys know what this is. Probably the best men's niche fragrance ever created, and the numbers don't lie. So I'm definitely keeping it. I always tell you guys, I don't care how many people wore this. This could be the signature scent of every other man in the world. But when they wear it, they're not me. So they don't rock it how I am going to rock it. So I'm going to keep this for the rest of my life from the house of Creed. This, of course, is JUVENTUS. All right, guys, the next fragrance on this list that I will keep for the rest of my life, this one also comes from the house of Rosa Dove, and I can't say enough good things about this fragrance, man. It's called Burlington 1819. And this is just a masterpiece, period, point blank in the discussion. This is me in a bottle. It has this very fresh citrus opening on this fragrance. Lime, bergamot, lemon, grapefruit. There's some melange citrus notes in the opening of the fragrance, and then when it dries down, you get some tobacco, you get some rum, you get some benzoin, you get some oak moss. You guys get where I'm going with this. It has everything in it that you want in a fragrance. So any fragrance wearer out there, what you want in a fragrance, you're probably going to find it inside of this bottle. This is phenomenal. This is something you have to smell to really be able to understand and comprehend what I'm saying when I describe to you how good this fragrance is. I'm keeping it for the rest of my life without question. This is a masterfully done fragrance from Rosa Parfums. Get your nose on this, guys. Get a sample or something. This is Burlington 1819 from Rosa Parfums. All right, guys, and last but not least on this list, of course, another house that I have a deep passion for. I'm definitely keeping this one for the rest of my life. It's called by Kilian, Angel Share. Angel Share. Didn't want to have too many gourmands on the list. Of course, you guys know my love affair that I have with Black Phantom, which has made this list before. This one gets the slight edge right now. I can't tell you how good this thing smells. If you love gourmand scents, you got to put your nose on this. It has praline, it has vanilla, it has tonka bean, cinnamon in this as well. This is just an amazing fragrance. I could go on and on all day about how good this thing smells, but I would just rather you go out and at least sample it yourself so you can see what I'm talking about. It kind of smells, gives me that same vibe as like a little bit like fragrances like Wajan or Paco Rabanne 1 Million Privé. They kind of have a similar vibe to this scent, but this stuff is stellar. So check it out. Again, this comes from the house of by Kilian. This is called Angel Share. All right, guys, that's it. That's my time, man. I hope you enjoyed this list as I gave you my 10 niche fragrances that I would keep for the rest of my life. As always, I appreciate your time and your attention to these videos. You don't have to watch, but you do, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And also make sure that you are sharing these videos out to some other folks that could use this information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren, the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, guys, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side.